In the end, the total amount that we ended up paying was Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel Moneymaker Mindset. My name is McCade. I'm the host of this channel, and today on this episode we're going to talk about how and why my wife and I decided to pay off our student loans this year. Before we get started with the rest of the video, I just want to remind all of you to please gently tap the like button, press subscribe, and turn on those bell notifications, because here we go! What were the important factors that we used to make our decision to pay off our student loans? Well, the very first factor in making this decision was to smash that like button. I'm just kidding. No, actually the very first factor was that we knew that we didn't have any loans to begin with. And there were no other debts. We already had our car payoff. We already had our apartment secured. We don't pay a mortgage. We don't have credit card debt. And so really just that factor alone really helped us to decide, you know what? Let's just get rid of our debts right now. It'll make life just a little bit easier. Another factor that we had was that originally we had made it a goal to get out of debt. Now, you might say that, you know what, that may not have been the best goal, but it was a goal that we had made together. And because we made that goal, it was easier to come together on this decision and to move forward with it. Another reason why we did not want to just make monthly payments on this amount was because we knew that we'd have to be paying interest on top of our principal amount, meaning that we're paying more than what we actually took out. Would you want to do that? No. No one wants to pay more than what they took, but that is the reality of borrowing money in general. If you take a certain amount, then there's going to be interest on it. That is the real reason why people let you borrow money in the first place. So knowing that we would have to pay more over time if we made monthly payments instead of paying off in full, we decided that, hey, we don't want to pay more. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get out of it ASAP. And that is exactly what we did. Now, the last thing that was a determining factor for us was that we felt good about that decision. That was so important to us. If we didn't feel good about this decision, then we wouldn't have made it. And you wouldn't make the same decision if you didn't feel good about it either. So what was the plan? Yes, the plan. The plan. So what was our plan? Our plan. Originally, the plan was to pay off the student loans in two parts. First part was going to be in half, and then the second part was going to be in half. We thought that if we split it up, it wouldn't seem like it would hit so hard if we paid it all at once. However, COVID hit, and we were not able to do that exact plan. In fact, I was busy and she was busy, and so it was a combination of COVID and a combination of us being busy that we didn't put in as much of an effort to pay off our student loans as soon as we could. However, this did give us extra time to save up more cash. And that was just kind of the start of our plan. We were just going to save up that money, and then when we felt like it was time to pay them off before payments were due, then we were going to do that. And we were going to do it in two parts. As time went on, we decided that, you know what, we can actually pay this in full and be done with it. Reason being is, you don't want to have a payment and then forget about it. You know? So if we had paid it in half and then all of a sudden we had forgotten to pay the second half, well, guess what? Our borrower was going to come knocking on our door saying, hey, you owe us this much money a year or two later because we had forgotten to pay the other half. So as time went on, we made this decision, you know what? We do not want to forget to make a payment. So why not just pay it off all right now? In the end, the total amount that we ended up paying was actually less than 10 grand. It was great because what had happened was when I was going to school, I did not want to pay a lot in student loans. So I worked my tail off during the school year, and then I was also very wise with how I spent my money. Now, the total amount that we paid in student loans was less than $10,000. I'm not actually going to tell you what it was because I don't want to give out that information. But hopefully this is just inspiring you, especially if you have less than 10 grand that you owe in student loans currently. We made our decision, but what was the end result? End result? Yeah, what was the pros and the cons to this actual decision? Were we actually getting anywhere? Did we have benefits, or do we just regret that we spent so much money at one moment in time? So what have been the real pros of making this decision? Well, pro number one, my wife and I have felt a lot of peace and comfort. You see, in a world that we live in where it's so hard to find peace and comfort, it's actually nice to have when we're able to achieve it. And that's just kind of something that I've felt personally as we made this choice. I have peace knowing that I don't owe anyone any money anymore as of right now. Another pro to paying off our student debt has been the fact that, we don't have any debt that is accruing in interest. You see, over time, as you let your debt sit or as you make payments on your debt, it still accrues interest, meaning that the amount of money that you owe is always gaining over the long period of time. And the only way to stop that or to make it shrink is by making payments bigger than the actual minimum payment. And that has been a real benefit to us, knowing now that we don't owe a single dime to anyone, and knowing that we don't have interest that is occurring or accruing on our debt is just really comforting to know. And it allows us to take that money that we would have put towards this debt on a monthly basis, and now we can take those payments and we can start applying it. Maybe we could start doing some investing, or maybe we can put that towards a down payment on a house. Those types of things. And that's kind of like the freedom and the beauty of having your debts paid off, is that now you can start applying that money that you were putting towards debt. You can take that and you can start putting it towards other things that can help you acquire more money over time. But what about the cons? What about those cons? You see, in every decision that you make in this life, there's always going to be pros and there's always going to be cons. And it's up to you to decide what you're going to do. Anyways, with this decision, there were definitely cons. And one of those cons was seeing all that money go out of our banking account at one moment in time. And that's just a decision that we had made, and yet it still hurt. Even though we had made this decision, knowing this would occur, it hurt so much. And yet, that's just something we gotta live with. Another con to making this decision is that, we could have maybe just paid the minimum amount and taken the rest of that cash and put it into different investments, different long-term investments that would then produce positive returns higher than our interest rate would be on our student loans. And so in the end, if we were to do that and take that money that we would gain through our investments and then pay off the student loan, yes, in the end we'd be paying more, but we'd also have gained more, and maybe more than we would have had originally if we had taken that money and invested. I guess what I'm trying to say is basically what I said earlier. In every decision that you make, there's always going to be pros and there's always going to be cons. And for you personally, maybe your finances are different. Maybe you can't afford to save up a bunch of cash right now to pay off your loans. If you're in that situation, I sure hope you get out of it, because you don't necessarily want to be in that situation for very long. You want to get out of that repetitive process where you're always seeing your money come in and then seeing it leave, and come in and leave. You want to get out of that. And so the best way to do that is to cut your costs and expenses, to pay off your debts before it becomes too much to where you're not making enough to pay off those debts. And that, my friends, is how we paid off our student loans. Now, I know that may just be a great story and all, but I hope that it inspires all of you listening, that you can pay off your own loans at your own pace. I promise you that. I promise you that as you make those goals, it will be easier to make that a reality, and you will be able to get out of debt. Don't forget to comment down below what your plan is to get out of debt. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to check out our video about whether you should pay off your student loans.